Today on the Intimacy Inquiry, I'm joined by Cidney Green, the unapologetic creative force behind the viral alt orgy events, the Pussy Over Pain movement, and the new book, All Three in Me, a raw, erotic, and emotionally honest story drawn from a real-life experiment with non-monogamy, love, self, and sex. Cidney is a world-traveling nudist, professional phone sex operator, and liberation coach who has built a global conversation around pleasure, authenticity, and choosing yourself over pain. Thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I know you're in Georgia and Atlanta. I'm in the UK and London, but hopefully we'll have a common language as we get into understanding a bit more about who you are and some of your amazing lived experience. So, I guess my first question has to be: if you can strip away the public persona, the headlines, who is Cidney in the quiet moments when nobody's watching?
I'm a 5-year-old named Mona. In my book, that's literally the first chapter of the book, All Three in Me. It's I'm really at the core of me, I'm a little girl. You know, I feel like we all have little boys and little girls within us. So I'm really like a very playful big baby who just wants to cuddle and just wants love. Like I think that's what we all are at the end. I don't know anybody who doesn't. Maybe you're not as affectionate as me because I can be a little bit obnoxious. But yes, at the when I melt everything away, no, I'm just a baby that wants love and affection from men and everyone around me that I love. That's pretty much it.
What was intimacy and relationships like for you when you were much younger? What was the teenage you like?
Naive and gullible, stupid. Naive, boy crazy, gullible. I talk about that too in the book. Like it's a whole chapter talking about like how I was a complete prude. I was a prude. I was judgmental about the woman I am today. I would have a bunch of stupid negative shit to say about who I am today as a teenager. But at the heart, I was still this beautiful, good person who really did do her best. But I was completely dependent on men for happiness. Like I didn't have any type of sense of self. Really, I had a little bit, but I mean, but who has a sense of self as a teenager? I mean, come on. I mean, but I was just no. I was. If I did not if I met you on Monday at 2 p.m. and we exchanged numbers and I didn't get a phone call or a text from you in 2 years. I'm sorry, in 2 hours or within 24 hours, my self-esteem is crushed. You know what I'm saying? Just a typical teenager, obsessed with men, being validated by men. I wasn't that sexually active, really. I was doing a little something, but not that much. But yeah, pretty pathetic. If didn't understand that she was attractive. Yeah, that was me. But I think that's everybody. I don't think I describe anything different than most people. I mean, who has it together as a teenager? Not me.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. I mean, I was just saying before, I've got two teenage children, one girl and one boy, and I think the one thing you want to be able to give to your children is things that you didn't have, and I think a lot of that for me would be confidence in who you are, confidence in your own sensuality, your own intimacy, your own love for yourself, really. And I think that's something so many of us come to very late on in life. So did you know relatively early on that, how to put this, sex, sensuality, intimacy was going to be an important part of your future?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always been fascinated with sex. I mean, I talk about that again in the book, All Three in Me. I'm telling you, this book bears my soul. I talk about the first time that I saw porn. And I think I can't remember my exact age. I'd say maybe 7 or 8. The first time I saw porn and like the feeling of it, like the feeling of what I didn't know was your clit getting hard. You know what I'm saying? I remember that, and I remember I started like masturbating around that time, and so like I didn't understand exactly what was going on, but I knew this thing that was happening I liked. But ever since then, I mean, I used to like porn, and I got a hold of a sex toy at a relatively young age. What was it, like 16? I think I got my first like vibrator. And So, and then I think I started having sex around like 16.
Mhm.
But I would consider myself, I know it seems counterintuitive, but I would consider myself, generally speaking, in my younger years, a bit of a prude. Again, I was too male validated. I was too obsessed with what men
Yeah.
would think. So that would repress my true nature, really, because, as a woman. So I wasn't having a lot of crazy wild sex because I was too worried about what men would think about me. You know what I'm saying? So of course you stifle that down. But to answer the question directly, I mean, I've always been interested in sex. I mean, I used to have phone sex. When I wasn't supposed to be having phone sex, I was like interested in sexual things pretty much since I can remember, since I first got wind of the chemical sensation that happens whenever you get aroused. It's like, ooh, that feeling feels good,
Mhm.
And so that's pretty much how that whole thing started. And then I started making money. Everything I do to make money has something to do with sex. It's pretty funny. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I knew pretty early on that I was very fascinated with this thing. And I remember when I first watched porn, I didn't understand that that's what sex looked like. Like the dick going inside of the vagina. Like, is that what, like, what is that? I didn't understand I remember the moment of being confused about what I was looking at, but liking the chemical reaction that it caused. Very interesting. So I would say from then on, the deep interest started for sure.
What, and it's something I know you talked about before, but why do you think we as a society are seemingly far more comfortable with violence than we are with sex? And you think, well, violence doesn't make you feel good, but sex does. And it does feel, and I'm sure it's the same in the US as in the UK and across Europe, that violence seems to be part of our everyday story. It's on the news every day. It's in all the films that we watch. You watch a John Wick film and he kills 50 people, and that's but somebody watches a film where somebody takes their clothes off, or you see a nipple on Instagram and you're immediately banned. Why do you think? Do you think it's repression from religion, societal negativity? What do you think it is that we're happy in a way to be violent, but we shy away from talking about sex, or many people do?
Well, you're right. It's religion. It's religion. I mean, the Bible is riddled with violence. The Bible is a very
Oh, gosh.
violent book. God kills the world. Didn't he drown the world? I mean,
Yeah,
didn't he
yeah.
drown everybody? Didn't he kill the first sons because he was mad at the Pharaoh? Could have just killed the Pharaoh, but you want to kill all the firstborn sons? I mean, we can go on and on and on about how graphically narcissistic and violent the God of the Bible is, right? And so, but yet a nipple is just, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like it says, "Thou shalt not kill," but God kills everybody. You make him mad, he killing everybody. He don't just punish you for a day or two, or maybe he don't just send you to hell. He got to kill you and everybody. He was absolutely insane. I don't understand what the thing is, but then it's too much empowerment in sexuality. Sexuality is very, 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 very powerful. Sexual energy is very powerful. You use it to manifest things, and that's one of the things I love so much about ancient Egypt. The women in ancient Egypt, the people, they were very sex friendly. I mean, they were having a lot of sex, and they were flourishing and abundant, and the women could walk around naked, and there wasn't a word for virgin because nobody gave a shit about whether you're a virgin or not. Like it wasn't that, and that's the beginning of like sex shaming, was this virgin thing, and they didn't even have a word for it back then because it wasn't even a big deal. I think, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the truth is stifling sexual energy is to stifle one's power. Quite literally, orgasmic power is life-giving, quite literally. You know what I'm saying? And if you get into sex magic and what you can do to manifest that power of orgasm, everybody be unstoppable. But especially with women, a woman in her sexual power is really unstoppable, but people don't connect the two. And you're absolutely right about everything that you said. You can, I always say it's weird that we glorify boxers. Now, I'm not trying to say boxers are evil, but they say that porn stars degrade themselves by exchanging orgasm on camera. But my job as a jobs boxer is to cause brain damage. You want the knockout, which is brain damage. Like, that's brain damage, and people have died messing around with martial arts. And so, and I'm not trying to say martial arts are bad, but I think it's fascinating how you'll take your son or your daughter and help them be a boxer or take them to the boxing match and there's blood. It's like boxing is incredibly uncomfortable for me to watch. It really is. Like I'd be, oh my God, he's, and like, you know, he's hitting him, like his brain damage, like concussions and stuff, and total disabilities and stuff like that happen from that. But if a couple is kissing, you do this to your child. Now, I'm not trying to say that children should be watching porn. I'm not trying to say anything crazy like that. I wouldn't go that far per se. It's a tricky thing, but I am trying to say society's comfort with violence absolutely comes from religion, because look at the book. I mean, look at how violence is everywhere, and yet there's not one sex scene in the Bible. Why is it not a sex scene in the Bible? This whole immaculate conception thing is absolutely ridiculous. So you believe that Mary didn't get some dick? That's stupid. You know, Mary had a baby, Mary had some dick. And I'm not even going to say, well, I am going to say it. Mary was allegedly 12 to 14 years old. So now we wonder why people are obsessed with pedophilia and obsessed with teenage virgin girls. It kind of starts with the Bible. Even though the Bible is a new religion, when it comes down to the timeline of philosophies, Christianity is relatively new, but look at the world. That's taken over the world generally. And so if we trace back a lot of that, it all comes from the Bible. So my long-winded answer is to basically agree with you. To confirm your answer, which is religion, which is why if you haven't noticed, I'm not a fan of religion.
No, you're quite subtle, but yes, I was getting that message. It's really interesting what you say about porn and porn actors and actresses. I've been really lucky to sort of talk to some fabulous actors in porn, some directors, some producers, whatever. And I sort of berated myself after the first few conversations for, I don't know what I expected. I expected somebody that almost been forced into this. They couldn't get another job. They really didn't want to do it. But actually, everybody that I talked to, whether they be feminist porn directors, holistic porn directors, you know, Brazzers porn directors, porn stars, whatever, all of them talk about their desire that porn is seen as entertainment and not education. But we're not here to educate. You know, if you're 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, whatever, and you're watching porn, we don't want you to think that it's normal for all women to have no body hair. It's normal for all women to demand anal sex. It's normal for all men to have, you know, 9-inch penises that stay hard for hours and hours and ejaculate gallons. They said it's entertainment in the same way that, you know, James Bond film's entertainment, or you know, Sherlock Holmes film's entertainment, or Stranger Things entertainment. Porn's entertainment, and that's the challenge, I think. And all of them seem to be positive and happy, and I'm sure there are people that are not happy with what they're doing, but generally they were doing it for entertainment, and I think that's how it should land, really. But I don't think that's how it does land. I think for one of the big reasons, I think that if the not to get too deep, but if the government, if society, if religion, if they can control our own sexuality, then they have control over our emotions, over our feelings, over what we do. And that's what ultimately government, society, business wants. They want to be able to control the population. That's the big thing, really.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And that's, I think it's, man, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I've always felt like people in your neck of the woods are more comfortable. When I say his neck of the woods, I mean Europe. And again, we had this conversation before. I'm kind of ignorant with Europe and UK. I group it all together. Ignorant American. Okay. Okay, I'll take it. Okay. It's true. The rumors are true. We don't know geography. So I've always felt like y'all were more liberal in with porn. And I say that because if I look at the porn, I'm a porn connoisseur. I love porn. I watch porn like every day. Me and porn, oh my God, I love porn. But the one who win the awards are like from Wales and the Dutch women and all and the Italian men. And y'all are wilder than Americans. Y'all do all kind of wild shit. Like all kind of wild shit. And I'm like, okay, and I was like, So then it's like, okay, then when I look at the Dutch people, it's like, oh well, the culture around sex work is a little bit more liberal. I don't want to. I feel like it probably maybe still be some people in like Amsterdam who would frown upon sex work, but the fact that the government has it legal says a lot about the situation. So I feel like if the societal stigma around sex work was like it was back in the day, where sex work used to be a a righteous form of work, people saw sex work um as a valued part of society. People need this. These are here looked at as healers almost. These people need to be able to go and get whatever sexual needs fulfilled. If we had that same energy, I think it would draw less tortured souls. You know what I'm trying to say? It would draw less of the trauma, of the damaged drug addict kind of stuff that goes on in the porn industry. That's one side. But the other side of it, if you can get through all the noise, there are people, which you discovered, who genuinely like to have sex and exchange pleasure and want people to watch. That is not that far-fetched to think of, really, because sex is good. Orgasm is good. I want people to watch it and I want to monetize it. Like, it's not that weird to believe. It's harder for me to wrap my mind around giving somebody a concussion for a living. I don't know what's more degrading, me standing in a ring and getting concussions. I think that's far more degrading than getting my pussy ate on camera. So I do agree with you. I pretty much agree with what you said. A lot of them are just normal people who like to have sex on camera, just like you like to talk on a microphone on camera, and Whitney Houston like to sing. People like to, and what's interesting about all of it is that everybody's lying, because porn sites get more views per year than any other site in the world. Yeah. So somebody's lying about the interest and the need for this type of work. So
yeah. I think the brands under the Pornhub stable, they get 4 billion hits a month. And so that's one in every 2 people on the planet watches porn every month. And some people watch it a lot. So yes, those numbers come
I add to that.
But still, 4 billion hits a month, and that's a hell of a number.
Well, why 4 billion people a month not going to JesusIsGreat.com? I mean, I don't know. I mean, why they not winning? You know what I'm saying? Like, why they not winning? And that kind of ties back into your conversation earlier. So sexuality is a natural thing. We are sexual beings. I think that's clear, especially women, because we're born with a clitoris, and the clitoris is the only organ on anybody's body that's only function is to orgasm. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. We're meant to orgasm a lot. So this idea that women are not sexual and that men are more sexual and we demonize is crazy. Why do we have a clit? Ask God and Jesus why he designed a clitoris. It was going to give you this thing that it's just there to feel good. It doesn't do anything else. That's crazy. So we are sex. So just think about this. We are sexual beings, being aroused and being horny and wanting to have sex for pleasure. And I don't believe this whole myth of his for procreation. That's the main thing. Can't be. Because I mean, I'm not trying to get into your business, but I'm sure you've had sex a lot. How many of those times were you aiming to have a kid?
Twice.
All right. Oh, and I think you've probably had a little bit more than 2 times, right?
Yeah.
So we have this sexual energy, this desire to have sex, desire to orgasm because it feels really great. Society says you should feel bad for feeling that way. So you have the vibrational frequency of guilt and shame around it. If you were in the vibrational frequency of guilt and shame, then that lowers self-worth, because you can't have like a high level of guilt and shame and then think you deserve great things in life. It's hard to like have both of those things. And so then you feel like you aren't worth anything. And then that gets into just these low vibrational frequencies. And it's very difficult to build wealth and to feel good about yourself and to really win in life when you're feeling like that. So it's this big domino effect of shit that I feel like the powers that be wanted most people to feel like that, because then it won't be as much competition. Like then, I don't want to. It's a deep rabbit hole we can go down, but it's all really a bunch of bullshit. And so that's what I talk about in my book all the time. Is my journey of figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? Especially women, we have this thing between our legs that everybody wants that feels really good when we touch. So we know how we feel, but then society tells us we should feel something different. And then when we do the thing that society says, it still doesn't give the results that we're supposed to get. And so it's this whole process. And sometimes during that process, women get the term of promiscuous because we're trying to fucking figure it out. We don't really know why we're having sex. We don't know why we having sex. I mean, I was having sex for years for men and didn't know that I was doing that. Like, I didn't realize why I was having sex. And it was all about men. When I said no to have sex, it was because of a man. If I said yes to having sex, it was because of a man. I eliminated myself out of the whole conversation, out of the whole thing. It wasn't ever about me. And so when you get into being, and that's the definition for me of sexual freedom. Sexual freedom is sitting with yourself and deciding whether or not you want to experience pleasure from this person right now. And it can't have anything to do with him or society or anything. It has to do with you. And people don't like sexually free women, especially because sexually freedom has a lot of no's involved. People think sexually free means saying yes to everybody. No, as a matter of fact, when women start really owning their sexuality, they can go through periods of having very little sex. because before I was having sex because I didn't want the dude I wanted the dude to like me, or I didn't want to seem lame, or I didn't want to upset him, or he took me out to dinner so I feel obligated. You know, you have all of these reasons that would lead to an inauthentic yes to having sex. And then on the flip side, you really do want to have sex with the dude, but you feel bad because you had sex with somebody else last week, or he hadn't taken you out on a date yet, or you have all these crazy reasons, and all of that, it has nothing to do with your pure desire. So having sex because of your pure desire is only legit reason, and your pure desire can be whatever your criteria is, but as long as it's coming from you, then it's a good reason to have sex. But anything externally directed is always going to not be good. But it's a process to get there. It's hard.
It is, yeah. Well, one thing I found talking to people and meeting people and just knowing people, I guess, is that the women that I talk to that are the most comfortable and confident in their sexuality and their sexual desire also are the women that I know have got the rest of their shit sorted out. It's almost like the sex thing comes, but everything else either comes with it, or they've had to go through everything else. So that you very, very rarely find somebody that is really in control of their sexual desire, sexuality, and the rest of their life has gone to hell. They seem to be very confident and comfortable in everything, and I think that's. Yeah, so whether that's because the sex thing comes last, or it's the hardest, or that just gives them the confidence for everything else. Really, one thing I do want to touch on though, and obviously the book is the title is fairly descriptive. All three in me. It's about your relationship with three individuals. I think August, Antonio, and Cash. And I wonder when did you first realize that you could love and desire more than one man at once, and not feel guilty about that? When did you realize that polyamory, non-monogamy was something that was part of your life?
Well, I got invited into a Facebook group called POL, called Poly Open Lovers, back in like 2011 or something like that. I was just in there looking around, and then I ended up meeting
as you do.
Yeah, I was just in there saying what's going on, and then I in the group was by Carl Stevens and Kenya Stevens, who are the Black poly people. They went everywhere, Dr. Phil everywhere. They're like the face of this whole thing. I was in there cruising around, and I was like, okay, And at the time, I had this man in my life who was married, and not the one in the book, another one who's mentioned but not a main character. And he was great at eating pussy. I loved him. He was great at eating pussy. We had a connection. I loved the sex. We were like friends, and I really did care about him. But he was married. And then I ended up meeting Cash, which was my first open relationship. And I remember it really hit me when it came to me. It's like, okay, so I have this guy here, and then I have Cash. It's why would I tell the other guy never to call me again? Like, it's like, okay, I have this great guy, but monogamous culture says, hey, you have a great guy. He wants to be with you. Cut everybody off. That's monogamous culture. I was like, but that just doesn't seem logical. Why would I remove this person from my life who has done anything wrong to me? He hasn't done anything to me that warrants me telling you never call me again. So why would I remove something good in my life because I found something good, else good in my life. I mean, we what other area in life do we do that with? You have a beautiful income stream, a job that you love. Let's say you have another business. Do you cut off the some people do, I guess, but we don't do that. We're supposed to have more than one stream of income. We don't just cut off stream. We're not monogamous with income streams because more money is good. So more love is good. I have 2 men in my life that care about me, want to be with me, give me great sex, who are nurturing and bring different parts out of me. Why would I cut off one? So that would be the moment that what I read was really starting to make sense in the real world. So I ended up having that conversation with Cash, which is vividly explained in the book. And that went interesting because he did not like that in the beginning, but he came around. But basically, that would be the moment I remember. It was just illogical to cut him off. If you find another, you have friends who you love and love you. If you meet another friend at the pub in London or whatever y'all be going to, the pub, I don't know. You meet another great guy, male friend. Are you going to just cut all the other friends off just to be his friend? You would add your friends together and create a support system around you that adds value to your life. So I feel like it was the same thing with this. And that would be the moment in real time I realized, okay, this monogamy thing doesn't make any logical sense. Yeah.
It's really interesting you say that. So I think historically, you definitely don't have to go back very far. I'm pretty sure that we were non-monogamous. And I think when that changed is when we moved from being transient to living in one place to owning property, and then because the old saying it takes a village to raise a child, that pretty much was because you weren't probably sure who the father of the child was, because in the village you were all in each other's tents, in each other's houses, in each other's whatever. You all, everything was shared, and if nobody thought anything of it. But I think once we decided, no, this is my land, this is my house, this is my wife, my partner, my husband, that's when everything changed, and we became far more repressed. And then, like I say, religion came along and told us that no, it's one man, one woman, have sex with children, that's the only reason. That's the big issue. And it's interesting now that as society is, there are lots of challenges at the moment, and I do think it's interesting. This is the time where we're seeing more exploration of what relationships are all about, and whether we should be with one. It's exactly as you say. If I love steak, do I only ever eat steak? I won't eat fish, or I have one card and I have another card. Do I have to sell the other card? It does seem odd that that's our one societal thing we have the issue with, is having more than one partner. I guess the only thing that's challenging about it is, and this sounds really boring, is the logistics. So do I see guy A on a Monday or Wednesday? Do I see guy B when I'm in his city? If I want to maybe have a family, do I have it with this guy, not that guy? That's the only thing I think is the challenge, I guess, is the boring stuff, the logistics of it, how you actually manage that whole part of life, really.
For me, the first thing you said, I love that you touched on the fact that monogamy it wasn't always the thing, and of course religion. Religion ruins everything in my view. It really does. Everything was really more wonderful before that shit. But anyway, yes, just to touch on quickly, yes, the industrial age is when monogamy and the nuclear family really came in there. When, like you said, when men started getting property and assets, they wanted to be sure that went to the right heir, aka the right child. So it was really about womb control. So if we listen to that with critical thinking, monogamy had nothing to do with morals, as it does now. Nothing to do with morals. Nothing to do with love. Had nothing to do with who you are as a person, being holy. It had something to do with making sure men didn't leave their house to some kid that they didn't know. And it absolutely had nothing to do with the desires of a woman. Mm-hmm. So that's why monogamy wasn't really designed for men. You can say it. I mean, men get a little slap on the wrist if they cheat, but it's not a big deal, really. It's really about the woman, because it's all about controlling our womb. And that's really disturbing. That could be a whole podcast episode in itself, just talking about how disturbing that idea is. So, and then we have the nuclear family, and it falls apart. You know, we can look at the rates of infidelity. You know, even if you're still together with your person you've been with for 30 years, somebody has had to forgive somebody for cheating at least one time in that time. Typically, we're talking about the rule, not the exception. So, you know, we can go on and on. Monogamy is definitely a social construct. We know that it's a social construct, and it's all about what? Control of the woman. Really, it's not really about control of the man. And yes, it was a time where everybody, it seems like you've read that book Sex at Dawn, because that's where I got like disinformation from. So I agree with you about all of that shit, and it's just really wreaking havoc on our relationships, you know, this today. But I forgot what else you said at the end of that. I wanted to touch on
just about the logistics of
logistics. Okay,
balancing 2 partners, 3 partners, 4 partners. How you manage the actual, almost managing the calendar in a way.
That's not that hard, honestly. The hardest, and that's funny. The hardest part, from my view of non-monogamy, is unlearning monogamous culture. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest thing ever. It's very hard. I still have some of that shit creeping up even now. I mean, I still get insecure and jealous, and I still, you know, all of that, you know, unlearning ownership of somebody else's body because you have feelings for them is a whole thing. But as far as directly answer the question of logistics, I mean, in the book, All Three in Me, again, these events take place like between 2011 and 2014, 15. It wasn't that hard because 2 of them were out of state, and one was in state. But I mean, yeah, it's if everybody lives in state, then yeah, it is just really about everybody's availability and working it out. It's not that difficult. You know, I don't feel like it's that hard to do. So that wasn't a problem for me.
What was it that compelled you to write the book? Because it is completely honest. Well, it reads completely honestly, and it's very vibrant. It's a very erotic read. It's a very enjoyable read. But what was it that made you feel comfortable and ready to put yourself out there with the book?
What's funny about that is it started off in 2014 of me. I had a blog called Total Liberation. It was just on Tumblr before Tumblr got rid of the sex. Okay. Yes. I have not been on that damn site since, and I hope they just realized that was a mistake. Anyway, it was just blogs. It was really what was happening. What's funny is about this book, like this shit, I would really have an experience. One of the men come and write it, like, you know. So this book is like 11-year thing in the making. Like, so I don't know what. Let me see. What the hell made me just started? Well, I guess because people were interested in it. Like, I would just start posting stuff online about, yeah, I got these 2 dudes or whatever it is. People's like, okay, and I was like, well, what happens if I just write something about it? The original idea was just write one blog about, okay, I got these 3 boyfriends. Everybody was like, what the hell? I was like, okay, well, maybe I should write a little more. It was very organic, you know, but I like people in my business. I like ruffling feathers. I like causing shit. I like being forthcoming about the truth of humanity. So that was it. It was just an easy decision. I don't know. It wasn't something I really thought of. It kind of unfolded on its own. So pretty much, it is a work of fiction. It's based on true events, but it is a work of fiction. Everything did not happen in the book. I made up some of the shit. Okay. But there is I would say 60% of it like happened as verbatim as I can remember it, because all I did was when I came back to publish a book, I just grabbed all of that stuff and I was like fresh. It was like, okay, August just left. Woo! You know what I'm saying? And so I wrote exactly what happened on a lot of it. So yeah, I just wanted to share myself. And I feel like, especially in the Black community, free women, sexually free women who say I want more than one man and have no shame, we are very, 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 very rare. And it's a lot of women who feel exactly the way I feel, and men who feel exactly the way I feel. And I don't know. I guess I like representing the underdog. I guess I am an underdog, and I like representing those people too.
I'm glad you raised that. So I did want to ask. I wasn't sure how comfortable you were talking about it, but that is certainly the. You know, I'm a middle-aged white guy living in the UK. So what the hell do I know? But there's certainly the view that men of color, Black men, are more promiscuous, or they perhaps have multiple partners, whereas I never heard or spoken to a Black woman that is comfortable talking about that. And you think, well, why on earth would that be? But I think whether it's the, you know, you listen to rap music or whatever, or you look at the media, whatever the culture is, it tends to be about black men having more than one partner, children with multiple partners, whereas women, it seems to be almost in the background, almost ancillary, really. So I think that's what's very, very refreshing and vibrant and alive with your book, is that, like you say, you are shouting and saying, look, hey, I'm here, we're here as well. It's not just like you think it is on the news, on the TV, whatever. There are women like me out there that want something different, and that we are willing to explore our desire, which I think is such a powerful thing to be able to do. Did you get, there are two parts, I guess. Did you get negative feedback, and how did you handle that?
Of course, you know what I'm saying. You know, so I really got negative feedback with the ATL orgy, with the sex party, the big, the very viral. It's on Amazon Prime. I mean, with this big, very famous swingers, I guess you could say swingers party that I had. That's when the negativity really got there. But as far as the blog, I just really remember people, even men were like really enjoying the book. They're like, oh my God, like I didn't think women really felt like this, you know. But to roll back a bit, religion is the reason why black women do that, because I think especially in America, black women are the most religious group.
Yes.
You know, and so, oh my God, we're taught that our whole identity is about getting a black man. I don't know what it's like in your culture, but in black culture, you ain't shit if you don't have a man. So you got to follow all the steps. It's a formula to getting a black man to love you, to deeming yourself worthy of love. And being a woman like me is the opposite of that shit. All right. So that's why I was telling you a while ago in the interview, I was trying to be that. Deny your need for sex. Don't talk about it. Don't wear certain things. Act, you know, like the Virgin Mary, you know, and, you know, be this way. And then hopefully a man will choose you to love you and deem you lovable. So, and then you got religion on top of that, religious guilt, you know what I'm saying? Religious shame. I'm going to go to hell, you know, and, you know, God going to punish me. I used to really think that after every time I masturbated, I needed to repent. I went through I was Christian for about 2 weeks in my life, 2 weeks. And but even before that, you have Christian ideals. I come from the South. I come from a small town of South. So even my mama didn't raise me in the church, you still get the idea. You get it. You understand that pleasure and sex is bad. Even if it's not beating your head. So I used to like orgasm and like feel guilt. And like I remember a particular time I used to like orgasm or masturbate, and I used to. And if something happened and it made me cry, let's say, I don't know, I fell and I scraped my knee and I cried. I used to feel, well, you're not worthy to cry. You were just masturbating. Like you ain't worthy of tears. So anyway, that's a little bit of piece of the black woman and the struggle with sexuality. We're coming out of it now, but it's a big thing. I forgot your question.
Yeah, so did I, but I was enjoying the answer so much. But no, it was literally what you said about whether people were negative towards the book that you wrote, and then how you handle the negativity.
Oh my God, sorry. Whew, okay, forgive me. The blog, not so much. The book, I mean, I get ignorant stuff, but that really came whenever in 2017 when I put out that I wanted to have a swinger, a birthday party, overnight birthday party where sex was welcome and you can have sex. Now that's when the negativity came, which helped me make a lot of money. I love negativity. It's great because people are more likely to share what they hate versus what they do, versus what they like. But anyway, how did I handle it? It wasn't true. Like anything that they were telling about me wasn't true. They said I was riddled with STDs. I was just promoting STDs. I was, I don't know, going to hell. I don't know what they call it, Jezebel or whatever. I was a scum of the earth. See, none of it was true. So I just didn't care. Honestly, it was kind of simple. It's kind of like me looking at you and saying, you're an Asian. You are Asian with slant eyes and you're from Japan. You'll be like, okay. all right, it's so not true, so I didn't care. So I handled that pretty well. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, everybody, people on the podcast talking about me, like it was crazy. But I guess I really just noticed the love. And that comes from me being obsessed with manifestation and law of attraction. What you focus on expands. So I focus on the love and the ticket sales, and the celebrities want me to come on their podcast, and the celebrities inquiring about coming to the event and all that shit. So that was more so of the experience negativity I had, not really the book. And the book officially comes out on the 14th of next month, you know. So but pre-orders have been happening, and we're doing very well with pre-orders, and we've sent the book out to select people, so we have been getting really good feedback from the book. But yeah, I haven't got crazy negativity from the book. I'm sure I will, though. I'm expecting it. Have you seen the cover? Yes, I'm expecting it.
Well, you're wearing the cover.
Yeah, you know, naked woman and surrounded by 3 men. And it's funny, I showed the book to this one girl, and she was like, a succubus. I'm like, oh, a succubus. So, you know, saying I'm a sexual vampire or some shit like that. And I was like, that's funny, but that's actually not why the book cover is like that. I'm naked on the book cover because I'm vulnerable in the book. Everything is a double meaning. I'm very raw and vulnerable and naked in the book. And all the men are placed where they're placed for specific reasons. Cash, the one that you were talking about, he's up there because he was the protective one. He was the one that was very protective. You know, his chapter is called The One Who Loved Me Most. That's the one I was like, no, I'm gonna marry her. Like, I love her. August, that's the married barber. We were very sexual, which is why he's sucking my titty. The one down here is a male dancer, and he made me feel so vulnerable and insecure. So he's like down there looking vulnerable, holding on to my leg, because that's a reflection of me and how I was with him, which is why the subtitle is They Were All Inside of Me, because before they were all inside of me before they were inside of me, which is saying I absolutely fucked them all. They all 3 were in me. Okay, that is true. But we manifest our lovers. Like, all of our lovers are a reflection of us. We don't like to acknowledge that, but our wives and our partners and our girlfriends, our boyfriends and husbands, they are all reflections of who we are. And that's deeply explored within the book. So yeah, I'll expect a lot of hate with that. especially in the Black community. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think people in the white community will just be fascinated by a sort of culture and a life they haven't explored really. And one thing I was interested in, that you, like I say, you're naked on the cover. I know you're very comfortable as a nudist, being naked. And is that something you've always felt comfortable with, about being naked in front of other people? And does that give you a feeling of power? Does it give you a feeling of sort of authority? I know in your alt orgy you sort of talk about, well, it's, you know, nudism is welcome, you know, sex is optional, whatever. But yeah, nudism is something I think has been a big part of your life, hasn't it?
Yes. In full transparency, I have not been feeling comfortable naked here the past few years, because I had to have a surgery on my stomach, and my stomach is not looking the way it needs to be. So I have not been identifying as a nudist as much as I normally am. But at my heart, I am definitely nudist. I've always felt comfortable being naked. I think at a young age, I understood that nudity and sexuality is not the same.
Yes.
I think that everyone, you, me, whoever wants to be naked around people, I think it's healthy. I think it is freeing. I never forget the 20, like my orgies, when I do my events, I'm like running around bossing everybody around butt naked. And I channel my Egyptian pharaohs. I channel that energy, because this is idea that a naked woman can't be the boss, or can't be smart, or can't be a leader, or, you know, because that disrupts everything. And I think part of my rebellious nature is telling people what to do, hiring and firing, titties out, ass out, you know, and you are going to respect me as if I have on a 7,000 Armani business suit. Okay, it's the same thing. So yeah, I think nudity is very important. People being comfortable in their body. It is freeing. It is help with body positivity. And I think, and when I do plan on having like a nudist club one day, and sex will not be a part of the marketing. I think it's very important to separate the nudist movement from like the swingers or anything sexual. I feel like swingers are nudist. You can't really separate the two, but nudists are not swingers.
Yeah.
They can be, but is there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's not the same.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's something like so many things about sex. Something when we're born, when we have children run around until they're, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, naked in the street under the sprinklers and the local park, whatever. They run around, and it's that. Well, it's a bit like, it's Adam and Eve, isn't it? As you suddenly, I'm like, how do you know you're naked? Well, and now I know I should feel shame for being naked. It's the same thing that we as parents, most parents also, put your clothes on, start getting dressed, whatever, when you're in your 3, 4, whatever. And it's just, something we learn to feel shame for. Is our body, which, when you talk about it out loud, it just sounds crazy, doesn't it? That we have this sort of shame for how we look. And thankfully, there does seem to be more body positivity, I think, and more acceptance that there are different body types, and not everybody is a size 4, or not everybody is 6 foot tall. Not everybody is, people are different shape sizes, and people love that. And that's, like I said, that's just your body and the shell we currently live in. That isn't necessarily anything to do with sex.
No, not necessarily. I love that you said. I was thinking it, but you said it. I mean, we don't come out of the womb with a wool coat on, and you know what I'm saying. That would be awkward. We come out. Nobody's
hard enough as it is. Yeah, absolutely.
we don't sexualize. Well, I don't sexualize children. Like you said, the little 4-year-old running around. I'm not thinking, oh, look at the tits. Whatever. Like I'm thinking, that's a whole nother thing. But yes, I would agree with you on that. I'm curious though. So you live in London. What is the climate around sexual liberation between men and women, nudity? What is the deal with you guys over there? Are y'all more liberal? Are y'all more like Switzerland, like you were sharing with me? I mean, what's y'all's deal?
No. So if in Europe, if you go to sort of Spain and France, parts of Italy, it's very, very normal for women to be topless on the beach, and many beaches to be nudist beaches. It's not unusual in the south of France, parts of Spain, etc. Even though surprisingly they are quite Catholic countries. In the UK, there are a couple of nudist beaches, nudist resorts, but and this sounds really terrible. The weather's pretty cold here.
Okay.
And the last thing you want to say as a guy, particularly, is to get undressing. It's not much bigger than that, I promise. Whereas in the south of Europe, it's much warmer, so I think that climate is, you're much more comfortable with the sun on your skin. It's much more like that, but it's still a very, very uptight. You wouldn't see somebody in the park here, or you wouldn't see it's public indecency to be naked, unless you're in the privacy of your own home, whatever. There's a guy a few years ago. He was called the Naked Hiker, and he used to walk around the country naked, apart from a backpack, and that was his thing. And boots and a backpack, and he got arrested pretty much most weeks, and it was always in our version of the New York Post, whatever. A guy a pervert gets arrested for walking around naked, a deviant gets arrested. And you think, well, he just had no clothes on. That was it. And it wasn't anything for him, wasn't sexual. It's just, he just didn't want to wear clothes. But we are still pretty uptight about that, I'm afraid.
What about, so I heard, I don't know if it's true. What about strip clubs and stuff? Do you guys have a lot of those in London, or is that a thing? I don't really know.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we have. They're probably less. They're probably less than they used to be because of things like OnlyFans, loyal fans, where now you can pay and you can talk to somebody in real time. You can ask them to do things for you. They'll provide videos, photographs, whatever. And it's I think that has really decimated the sort of sex club industry. There used to be in sort of Soho in London. There used to be a lot of sort of sex clubs. We can go in there and see a striptease or see somebody naked. And we do have it here. We do have sort of pole dance clubs. We do have strip clubs. But not, the UK is not like Vegas. It's still fairly uptight. But most big towns, cities would have one strip club, one pole dance club, whatever. and it's not illegal. Yeah, there's some random laws about you can strip naked in a club. I think if you're over 18, but then you can't serve alcohol if you're under 21. It's something very bizarre. So you can drink, but you can't take your clothes off. No, you can take your clothes off, but you can't drink. There's some quite oddities, really, and it's very much by local authority. I think trying to get permission to have a strip club becomes quite difficult because they talk about licensing laws, entertainment laws. They mix up alcohol and yeah, sex and nudity are all in the same basket. So no, it's not quite as free and easy as you might think.
You know what's really funny? Speaking of laws, I never forget I was in Louisiana, which is my home state, and you had to be 21 in order to get into a sex shop where you can buy porn. It's like years ago, before OnlyFans and all that stuff, where you can go buy porn and the DVDs and stuff. But then you walk in there and it's like teen porn, 18-year-old pussy, 18-year-old ass. Okay, so I can't go buy my own.
I can make it, but I can't go and buy it. Yeah.
You know, so I can go and suck some dick on camera, but I can't go buy it. That doesn't make that has got to be the most bizarre consent age thing I've ever seen for in my life. And you can be 18 to be in porn, but you got to be 21 in some places to buy it.
It is. I know this is it, isn't it? You could get arrested for buying a DVD that you were in. It does seem very odd. But yeah,
I can't support myself.
Well, absolutely.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I can't support my own porn. I want to buy myself. Yeah, it's insane. I don't even get that. But you know.
Yeah. And most towns. It's probably 20 years ago now. Most towns had a sex shop. They used to be called private. That's what they were called instead of sex shops. The windows are always blacked out, and there's always Whereas now, obviously, you can get everything online. So whether you want to buy whatever toy you want to buy, whatever you want to watch, whatever you want to download, it's all available. So those just don't exist really anymore.
I don't know how sex can be private. And when everybody who was born, if you see a pregnant lady, she got some dick.
No matter how religious she is, she's had a penis in her vagina.
But sex is it's like we can't discuss it. But she's pregnant. I mean, I'm not trying to just be a perv here, but I mean, we know how she got pregnant, right?
We do. So, do you think your relationship to your own orgasm, your own sexual sense of being, has that continued to evolve over the years?
Oh, yes. Really getting in tune with how and when and who I want to have sex with is forever evolving. It changes. I mean, right now I only have sex with men in which make me feel seen. It's very important to feel seen for me now. When other times that wasn't really it, you know, and it just as you grow and you evolve and you figure shit out, you know, one of the most beautiful and most annoying things about this life is you never stop evolving and changing and learning shit. Sometimes I'm tired of evolving. I just want to stay. I don't want to come up with nothing new. I just want to stay this way, you know. Shit. God damn it. You know, you think you got it all together, then something happened. You gotta, oh God, I gotta go and meditate and figure out what the hell is wrong with me, you know. So yes, that is always evolving. That's never really stagnant. But yeah, where I am right now, like, you know, I have the men in my life now that are consistent, that I am interested in, have connected to something in me that makes me feel safe. And I have not always chosen like that. I you know, so that's definitely a huge difference. And I'm 30, and I'm 30. How old am I? 36. You know, and still trying to figure it out. You know, and it's evolving. You know, but I will say right now where I am is there.
You mentioned a few times manifesting and law of attraction and things. And how does manifesting in a sexual sense, what does that mean in terms of a relationship or being intimate? I never quite understood the manifesting thing. How does that work?
So sexual, well, I will say they call it sex magic.
Okay.
So depending on the teachers you go to, whenever you are feeling a big emotion or a big feeling, whether it's good or bad, it's a very powerful form of manifestation. So if I feel very strongly about my lack of money, I feel all the feelings, whether it be anger, sadness, helplessness, that is going to help me to manifest more poverty, because it's really about the emotion, right? So on the flip side, if I am feeling wonderful, heightened emotion or heightened feelings, orgasm is a great, that's what that is. So essentially, you can use that energy, that frequency of orgasm to help propel whatever you're trying to manifest and bring into life. So like if I'm masturbating and at the point of orgasm, I think about a goal that I want, it will help to manifest it faster. Or if I'm with a partner and we do the same thing, we're like together, we say, okay, we want to bring in more money for ourselves or more health or whatever it is we're thinking about, we can do that. So it's a whole big thing, but you have to first understand that thoughts become things, that feeling, that your emotions are the indicator of what you're actually manifesting. So if I'm feeling poor or fat or great, that lets me know what's on the way coming to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's really Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you heard of Abraham Hicks. Esther and Jerry Hicks. They teach manifestation. There's one of the many teachers, but it's really all about a feeling. It's really a kind of a detailed thing, but it's just simple steps. Thoughts become things. Whatever you focus on expands. If you keep thinking something negative, then that's what's going to happen. That's the frequency you're on. So orgasm is a very high frequency, contrary to popular belief. Orgasm is an extremely high frequency. And if you can match that with a goal or a desire, then it will be more manifest quickly or more powerfully. So that's the quick version.
I like that. And that is tying with something. I've always thought that I think ultimately we are made of energy. We're all basically energy in this current skin. That's what we are really. And I think we do things that either put positive or negative energy back out into the universe that people can absorb or whatever. And I've always thought that orgasm, sex generally puts out positive energy. Not just the ejaculate, not just the physical liquid or whatever, but actually we're putting out positive energy. And I really like the idea of channeling that energy into a positive affirmation. I really like that.
Well, if you look at Napoleon, I know you've heard of Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
He has a chapter in his book, Think and Grow Rich, about sex transmutation. It's the same thing I just said. Okay. So, so he talks about it, channeling it. Absolutely. The feeling of being horny even is creative energy. The feeling of being horny, even before we get to orgasm, that feeling of sometimes, like when I'm feeling horny, instead of just going to bust random nuts, like to terrible porn, all kind of wild, crazy. When I say terrible, I mean some stuff I watch is absolutely insane. So just instead of just beating my meat, I say beat my meat. Instead of just doing it all day, it's like, okay, Cidney, channel this energy into maybe writing or like doing something else, like a little bit more productive than just busting nuts to random London-based porn, because y'all be doing a lot, all of that. So yes, channeling it is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Channeling energy.
What is your favorite kind of porn?
Okay, I don't know if I could. Should I say it? Okay, I like porn. Number one, I don't really like. I've grown out of the production porn. The real lights, camera, action. Yeah. I like more stuff that look a little bit more like amateur, a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I like gaping assholes and pussies. Like I like it when the asshole's like this big. Like you just throw. You can take this and just throw it in there. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I get off on that. That's like one of my favorites. Yeah. I think that's the main thing I look for. I really want a neat vagina. I want it just looking like it's been ran through. I like, and that's like one of the things. I will never have a vagina that looks like that. But that don't mean I don't want to look at it. So I want to look at it. My mind get all crazy. I started thinking about how she just been ran through, and I just like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's like that's what I look for most of the time, as far as that goes.
That's a good thing now. There literally is. You almost can't imagine something that doesn't exist on one porn site or another. There's pretty much everything for everybody and it's not all for everybody, obviously, but you go through the different categories and channels. Think, oh my goodness, I've never even heard of that. But you go, look, is that what that is? But yeah,
I like gangbang too. I like gangbang. I like cream pies. I like when they like come like a bunch of dudes just come in one girl pussy ass. I like looking at that. I like so every now and then I look at a crack hole or somebody with no teeth, just a good crack hole that's just been just out here just doing what you can for the next hit. Every now and then I like a little crack hole. You know what I'm saying? Like I have problems. Like why do I want to see a crack hole? Like why do I want to see somebody with no teeth just because they be sucking good dick? The crack hole just be doing a great job at sucking a dick. Maybe I should remove my teeth. I'm just joking. Okay, yeah. So
don't do that.
So yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it.
So is there a fantasy you've maybe had for a long time you haven't acted on yet, and is there something in particular that stops you, or have you pretty much done everything you've ever fantasized about?
I have definitely not done everything I want to do. Number one, I want to do sex magic. What we talked about. I want to do that. I haven't. That is such a specific type of partner you have to do that with.
Yes.
And so the second thing I want to do, I have had two. I don't want to spoil the book. Okay. I want two men at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I have had that experience, but their dicks wasn't hard, so that doesn't count. Like I don't know what they were doing. I'm like, why? One of them included one of the members from the book, but it's like, why? I told him to come in and get acquainted with the dude. He would have just jump in and just get like, no, like be cool. And he didn't listen to me, and like the dicks were really hard, but I got a little bit of that. But my real fantasy was that to have like one man be a man that I really love, and then him be really cool with the other one, and then like us do that, because that's just like a competition for like my pleasure, which is like insane that women. And guess what? As a phone sex operator, I do know by way of the men that I talk to and by just talking to women, when women feel safe, they tell you the truth. That is a very common fantasy of women to have two men at one time.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be? I mean, come on, that is just two muscular men or whatever your fantasy, you could have it you want. Like for me, two muscular men, and this competition to please me. Men are ego driven, so he's trying to make me orgasm more than this one, and he's trying to do this. And I love it when like my nipples and my clit stimulated at the same time. Who wouldn't want a beautiful mouth on the titty and a beautiful mouth on the vagina? I mean, oh my God, who wouldn't want that? Like that sounds beautiful, but of course our society calls it a train. In Black culture, it's a train, which is like disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like you just laying there, letting dudes just take turns. Yeah, I do want them to take turns trying to make me orgasm and me to have the best time of my life. And yes, that sounds great. So I want the more than one man, but I want it the way I want it. Also, I suck at anal sex. I haven't gotten that down. I still have not found the pleasure in that. I almost kind of sort of did that one time, but it wasn't right. It wasn't right. So I want to like get good at anal, because I watch a lot of anal porn. It's influencing me. I'm being influenced by porn because they look like they're having a great time. Okay. Now I don't want my asshole look like this, but I do want that, because then I can do DP. I definitely want a double penetration, a dick and ass, dick and a pussy. Why wouldn't that be like great? Like, oh my God. So those are some things I haven't done. I want to do those.
It seems to me when you talked before about ancient Egypt, and certainly the reading that I've done about ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, a lot of that was around the powerful women of the time, whether they be sort of the pharaohs, partners, or the queens, etc. That's what they had. They had men. And to be fair, maybe the men at the time weren't necessarily choosing to be in that position, but they were being worshipped by men, and not just worshipped as a deity. They were literally being sexually worshipped, and that's what they had. The men were there, kissing them from their sort of their toenails to the tips of their ears. They literally worshipped the ground the woman walked on. That's what it was all about. Not just one at a time, but many at a time, and it wasn't seen as anything negative. It was seen then very much as you're worthy because you are giving this woman, this queen, this princess pleasure. That's your role, is to give this woman pleasure. And
Yes.
that's what you're asking for. And it feels like it's literally, that has existed. That's not something that's like, oh my God, that's like, what does she want? She wants two men at the same time. No. That has existed for millennia. It's just this time in society, it's seen as something, no, a woman shouldn't want two men. It's very odd that you have to go back a few thousand years to actually recognize where it came from, what it meant, and what its value was in society.
Isn't that, I love it when you just say things. I mean, I hear myself say the things you say all the time, but it's just really interesting when you say something like what you just said. And the bottom line is, why wouldn't a woman want pleasure? Like if we just strip the bullshit, people, not just women, but people are vilified for seeking pleasure. That's very strange.
Yeah.
Like, you're mad at her because she wanted pleasure. Well, you shouldn't want it. What? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just have we studied humans over the course of humanity? Humans are willing to risk their lives over pleasure. If we, now, when I say, I'm talking about like for instance, like adultery. I'm just like using that example. For whatever reason, this man or woman cheated on their wife or their husband, and they used to get stoned for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Risk their lives for like pleasure. Obviously there are many nuances that make one commit adultery, but I'm just saying, like, people really do get angry at humans for seeking pleasure, and it's very weird to think about. But it's so normalized. But it's so strange. Like, I love critical thinking. This is the critical thinking type of conversations I love to have. Like, why are you upset that the woman sought out pleasure? Why does that anger you? Why does that make her unlovable? Because she wants to have an orgasm. A lot of them.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is because we've lived for many years in a patriarchal society. I mean, you look at countries in Africa still, and some parts of Europe where female genital mutilation is not unknown, and that basically is cutting off a woman's labia and clitoris. It's basically taking away pleasure, because as men, the decision being made is that sex isn't for a woman's pleasure, which is such a, it upsets me to even think about it. It horrifies me that that's the challenge that women have to live through. And I think one of the big issues is how perhaps we've come to define pleasure. And I think a lot of time we think, well, pleasure is penis and vagina. That's what sort of sex is. That's all it's about. But there's so much. You said right at the beginning, so much of pleasure is the feeling of holding somebody. And it'd be amazing to to hold you, or to hold your partner, or to hold your lover, or just to hold them, or just to look in their eyes, or just to masturbate together or massage each other. There's so much that pleasure offers that isn't just about penis and vagina. And that's one of the issues. I think if we got our heads out of our asses and forgot about what the procreation of sex, and thought about giving each other pleasure, that just feels a much more comfortable way of being.
I just learned something in this. You just told me. I didn't know that it was parts of Europe that participated in female mutilation.
Well, I think
I didn't know that.
To be fair, it's certain communities that have traveled from some of the African states to the UK and then live there. And I think it's certainly completely illegal. It's completely illegal, but there are still, sadly, cultures where it's not denormalized, if you like.
Oh God, the way you feel disturbed about that whole conversation, the feeling is mutual. And a lot of it's religious based. But why did God give me the clit? For you to cut it off? I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's heartbreaking. There's women living, their children when it's done, and they live in pain for the rest of their life. It's not that it takes away pleasure; it gives them pain, basically. Which is, yeah.
Well, if we want to get into like to just to add to that, I was reading, and it was a time in history, and I'm talking about American history, maybe it's the same there, where when a man was, if you're a man and you're seeking a wife, you absolutely do not want to marry a woman that likes or is enthusiastic about sex, because something's wrong with her. So, like it was like witchcraft or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's what we had a witch trial. We had a witch trials here, and you had them in Salem. We had them here, exactly the same. That a woman that was, it was either lots of women that were healers or lots of women that were comfortable with their own bodies. They were, because men didn't know what to do, so we called them witches, and then we burnt them.
So, but that's that's very disturbing. But what gets even more disturbing is, so let's paint this picture very logically. You're a man. If you want a woman you want to marry, you need to pick one that doesn't like sex very much, because if she does like or express it, then she's the witch or something wrong with her. So, but then you expect a lot of sex from your wife, and you know she doesn't like it really, because you picked. Society says pick the woman that ain't that into sex, because that means she's a good woman. So you pick the woman that's not into sex, and you know she doesn't like it, but you want her to have sex with you all the time. Rape culture is rape culture. So that ties into rape culture. Like, it's, you know, she don't really like it that much, but you want to do it all the time. That's just what the fuck.
Yeah. So I think it was only. I want to say it was certainly less than 50 years ago in the UK. There was no such crime as rape within marriage. So less than in my lifetime, there was no. It is a crime now, thankfully, but there's no such thing as a crime as you couldn't rape your wife because she was legally your property, which yeah.
So it's the same thing here. I think that became legal in 94 here. So that's just so problematic, because yes, sex is for men. That's the thing. It's not about you. It's not about what you want, and that goes into why women are faking orgasms. Women are not sexually pleased, generally speaking, over here. I don't know about there, but I think it's about a stat that came out that I think over 50% of women reported faking orgasms in marriage.
Yeah, more than that.
So it's like, okay, so. And women typically don't like to tell men what to change, because men don't take it well. It's almost like, how dare you tell me this ain't for you? I think it's ingrained in a lot of men is, don't correct me on nothing. This ain't really about you. You know what I'm saying? It's not really about you. And I really experienced a lot of that when I lived in South Africa. I lived in South Africa for 3.5 years. It made me miss the American man. I absolutely do. We can, it's bullshit everywhere, but as far as sexuality and pleasure, my man has to be Western, Europe, Canada, here, something with a West, because they really don't understand foreplay. They don't like to go down on you. They want to kiss you and throw a dry ashy dick in your pussy and just hump a little bit and hope it gets wet. They have no idea about the art of foreplay, because sex is not for women.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because we the ones with the clit. You don't have a clit. You don't have everything on your body that gives you pleasure has a dual purpose. Your prostate gives you an orgasm, but it also does a bunch of other shit for your body. The head of your penis, it's there for something. Like it's crazy. But anyway, so yes, I agree with everything that you're saying, and that's part of the reason why I wrote this book, man. We got to get real about it. We got to get real about how men and women are, and men are also sexually repressed too. I'm not one of them people act like men don't have sexual repression. They do, but obviously we got that worse. But I feel like that's what really the book is really about. That it's about like the process to this, like how it's a normal thing to want more than one person. It's a normal thing to want orgasm. It's a normal thing to want two men to have sex at the same time. These are kind of normal things, like, and I don't think we got to get rid of the shame. Like, one mind at a time, we can kind of flip. But I don't know about over there in your country, but here, I think, or globally, religion is dying out. There are less and less people identifying as religion across the world, religious at all. They're more and more getting into spiritual, or they're less and less identifying with religion, which I think is a great turn of society.
Yeah, and it's really important you said that. I think there is a very big difference between having a spiritual part to your life and religion. They're very different. One is very controlling and has very strong boundaries and strictures and detail and things you can do, can't do, typically can't do. Whereas spirituality is a very personal, intimate thing, which I think is incredibly powerful, really. Now, I've taken up a lot of your time, but just two more questions, if that's okay. Well, one statement. So they say that there's two things men don't like being criticized about. One is their driving, and the second one is about sex. You tell a man is a bad driver and is bad at sex, then that's it. It's all over. I just don't want to hear it. So my final questions are: so you exude a huge amount of energy. I think you put a lot of energy into what you're doing, into your thinking, into your processing, and into your life. Really, I mean, how do you look after yourself, sort of emotionally and physically? How do you keep the energy levels high? What do you do to sort of nurture yourself?
Well, before I came on here, I did like a 10-minute visualization. I think it's very important to. I'm a nerd. I like to read or listen to audiobooks. I think even the simple pleasures like cooking myself one of my favorite meals is a way I look after myself. Having my porn and orgasm time, even if I don't have a man I'm having sex with, being sure I get my orgasms is very important. Exercising is very important. Um, Writing in my journal is very important. I mean, you gotta get the shit out of your head. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get it out. And I like to laugh. I'm really childish. I'm very playful. Like I have so many parts of my personality. I'm really a big kid. I really am. I like to play. Any opportunity I have to laugh or be childish, I do that. Anytime, like we talked about before, he has the cutest puppy in the world.
Yes, she's okay. She's sleeping at the moment. Yeah.
Anytime I could be around anything furry, I take the opportunity. I don't have a dog now, and I travel too much to have a dog of my own. But anytime I could be around something furry, then I do it. And I just tell myself yes. I tell myself yes to things that feel good to me. That seems very basic and like duh, but no. A lot of people struggle with that. I tell myself yes to things that feel good to me. And I watch TV. I like watching. So those are some of the things that I do. Yeah, I surround myself by a lot of love. I get as many hugs as I can get. I'll hug anybody. I'll hug. Hey, I want to hug you.
Hugs,
You know,
I love hugs. A lot of it's how weird or not, but I'm very much hugging another man or a woman or whatever, and a colleague at work, whatever. I find a lot of men are very, very. If I go to sort of handshake, hey, come on, bring it in, let's have a hug. A lot of men are very, get very tense about that. It's very weird.
Religion.
Oh yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
it's religion because religion condemns being gay, and then gay hug another man. Okay, I'm talking about Black culture, but maybe it's the same.
No, I don't think it's very different, really.
Oh, okay.
My final question then will be: so if your book's going to do phenomenally well, it's going to get picked up by Hollywood. They're going to want to make a film out of it. You're starring as you, obviously. Who are the?
I actually don't want to star as me. That's why I want to be the director. I don't want to be me, man. I don't. I want another actress to be. But that's funny.
I was gonna ask who would you want the three men to be in the stars of it? Michael B. Jordan.
That's hilarious. Michael B. Jordan. That's hilarious.
He's very beautiful, isn't he? I can say that as a man. He's a very beautiful man.
I love that you're comfortable with your sexuality to say that. But yeah, he's cool. I don't know if you know this actor. He's called Tyler LaPlay. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
I want him to be August for sure.
Okay.
The married one, the married barber. I don't know who the rest though. Oh my god, I need to really. I'm obsessed with Amari Hardrick. He is just so he could be anybody he want to be. Now, if he was the actor, I'd have to be me. Now, I'll take it all back. I lied. Yes, I want to play myself so I can be with all these men. I don't know that. I got like one or two in my head, but I can't really think of. Oh my, maybe. Oh, Tyson Beckford could be the model.
Okay.
I don't know who can play the stripper though, because he got to be able to dance. You know what I'm saying? He's got to really be able. That'll be the hardest one to cast because you have to be able to move like that particular stripper. Because that dancer is absolutely phenomenal. And I've dated many dancers and porn stars and stuff like that. So he's got to be able to move. Yeah.
And then, all right, my very, very last question will be then,
Okay.
what do you imagine long-term love looks like for you?
I want what the cover is. I really want 3 husbands. I really
Mhm.
would love to have 2 to 3 husbands, living on the same compound. I want us
Mhm.
all I want the community under the same compound, and for me to it to be true unconditional love, um, and and true life partners. I love life partner. That's my favorite
Yeah.
way to describe romantic relationships because everything else seems fleeting. But if we're life partners, that means
Yeah.
we're life partners. I love Will and Jada's relationship. They are life partners.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're sexual with each other or not,
Mhm.
they're still life partners. That is the best way to be in a romantic bond for me. So yes, yeah, that's what I want. And yeah, a compound with me and my 3 men. And of
Mm.
course, I can have other women too. But as far as living together, us 3.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the second book. Um,
Yes, I have to think about the second book. Oh my God, the second
you
book is
do.
already overwhelming me thinking about writing that one. But yes, it's a lot of. I will say the book has like a bunch of cliffhangers, so everybody will be trying to see what happens next. I do that on purpose.
It's nice. Well, thank you so much. We only got in contact yesterday. I wasn't sure what to expect, and you're fabulous. I think you're wonderful. No,
Thank you.
thank you so much thank you for writing the book, and thank you so much for your time.
I want to come to London. I plan on having a European summer. So I got to come to London and see what y'all doing over there. You know, I can't
Absolutely.
deal
No,
with y'all
let me know.
crazy
Please,
weather.
please let me know when you're coming.
I will. Oh my God, I got to come down there. I got to go to the pubs and shit. But you've been amazing too. I really do appreciate your questions. Like it's you're I didn't I know I talked a lot, but I honestly didn't have that much to add because you were right about everything. Well, I agreed with everything that you pretty much said, so that was cool. But so yeah, I really do appreciate your time as well. Your time is valuable, and I can't wait to share this interview with all about people.
Oh, thank you. Right. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.